Okay, hello everybody. This is Jakub, CMO of PitchGround, and welcome to the last webinar with Apploye founder Sheikh Shourav. And this is the webinar number 7, and we'll be talking about really interesting topic, especially if you're entrepreneurial tendencies, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're maybe thinking that you will start and you will build your own tech startup one day, or maybe you're already building your startup. So right now, it's a good time to stick around because Sheikh will be sharing his experience with building the tech SaaS product like Apploye, and he will be sharing best practices, how to manage team, and how to deliver. Because I mean, a lot of good ideas will die eventually because people just don't have the skills to build them. And this webinar is for the people who are maybe lacking those skills, and they would like to know more about how to build the actual product. So if you're one of them, you're at the right place at the right time. And I think without further ado, we can jump right into it. So Sheikh, what have you prepared for us today?
So I have prepared a little bit of slideshow, and also I selected some topics to talk about, because this topic is a very broad topic, and if we start talking about it, it will take a lot of time, even if So I will try to touch the technical aspect of building a startup and initial fundraising stages, or those topics. I will not talk about scaling and marketing type kind of topics, because we are still figuring those out, and I am not a pro on those. So in PitchGround, I can see marketing and scaling webinars every day. So I suppose those are better than what I can offer. But regarding how to build a tech startup and discussing actually the tech aspect of it, it's important. So I will try to talk about that. A lot of time when like many non-technical founders, or maybe even technical founders, when they start a company, like if it's a tech company, they often forget that it is the tech that brings them the bread and butter for the company. And many often they are too focused on marketing and scaling, which is really very important as well. I'm not telling that those are not important, but they don't give too much focus on their product or technology itself. And it is one of the risk factor that is enough to collapse a startup. So that's why I would like to give some focus on that, and I would like to share some of my experience and advices.
It's going to be super interesting. I think we'll have a lot to discuss, because me myself, I founded some apps as well. So I have some experience with launching tech products too. So I think it will be quite interesting discussion. So for everybody who's joining, we're discussing how to build a tech startup with founder and CEO of Apploye, time and tracking, scheduling, and monitoring app for your employees. So if you want to build something great in the technical space, stick around, because this is going to be so cool. If you have any questions, just feel free to send them below the chat, below this video into the chat, and we'll be answering them in the end of the webinar. Or it will be, if it will be a really relevant question, we'll answer it right away. So now, without further ado, let's jump right into the slides you prepared as usual. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to be so great as every time, basically.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Great. So first of all, I would like to say for this webinar, who are the target audience for this webinar. So if you are looking to build a tech startup, that could be the next Uber for your country. that could be a SaaS startup for global audience. That could be anything. If it has some relations with technologies, and you are the right audience. You could be a tech person and non-tech person. Both helps. So number one thing, and number two is that this webinar is not about Apploye. This webinar is about you. If you are building the next tech startup, if you are the founder. So I'm looking forward to share my experience and how this can help you as well.
All
So
right.
topic is that generating ideas and validation. So
So
while team,
this is where it all starts. It starts with the idea or just
definitely.
problem definition. Yeah.
So basically, this is a very broad topic, and many people get their inspiration from different places. So there is not a benchmark for this, but in general, what you can see that if you find a problem, existing problem that you are seeing, and you can you can give a better solution to this, then that's a good idea. For example, you are using Salesforce, and you can understand that some aspect of Salesforce you are not liking, and you understand that this could be a great solution for many people as well. So this could be an idea, and and another good place to find idea is that to find your discomfort. So if you're if you are facing some problem in daily life, for example, uh, you're not being able to find bus ticket very easily in your country, so you can have this idea that okay, I would like to have an app where people can go and book their bus ticket. So this is something which comes from your day-to-day experience. So when something comes from your day-to-day experience, what happens is that you will be more eager, and you will have more knowledge about that topic especially.
Mm-hmm.
While generating idea, one of the very important thing is that if you are building a business, make sure that you like and you have the love about that industry or topic. So what do I mean by that is that while you're doing a business, you are not only building a product, you are not only doing marketing. So building a business is a very broad thing. You will have a 10, 15 or 100 people working for you, and at the same time you will be giving like at least 5 to 10 years of your life to this. So make sure that you love this topic. For example, I love the aspect of productivity. I love people being productive. I have the passion about it. So when there is a problem in this company, when that, because while you run a company, there will be always setbacks. You will have like 1 or 2 or 3 near death experience in your startup. So when there is, if the idea is something that you love or actually like, what happens is that you will stick to that idea. You will not jump, or you will not pivot to something else. So you understand what I mean, right?
Yes, I do. I do. About this, I would like to add that a lot of people, including me, when I was starting, you just it's quite risky to come up with the idea first. I mean, the idea should come after you define a problem, because if you will think that something will be a good idea and you will think about the solution first before you define the problem, it's quite difficult to come up with the working product afterwards. So I think what you said, I like what you said, that you need to identify the problem first and then start building a solution around it,
Yeah,
which
because
actually
identifying a
solves this
problem,
problem.
you also need to love that industry. For example, like Yakub, for example, you love sales. So if you love sales, there is a highly possibility that you will stick around anything that has to do with sales. For example, you are building a software which has to do with sales. So in this journey, you will face technological setbacks. You will face uh, fundraising setbacks. For example, you are expecting a fundraising and you are not able to do that. So, and again, you might have a regulatory aspect as well. So these kind
Mm-hmm.
of issues you will always have to deal with. And when you're facing this kind of existential issues, when you love this topic or when you love this product, you will stick to it. And if you don't love it, then definitely you will leave this. You will say, okay, I'm gonna do something else. So
Yes,
this is what.
the motivations need to be right. Like you cannot just do it for the money. And I like that you wrote the why as a very first, because that's the most important. Start with why. why are you passionate about this topic? Why are you passionate about solving this problem? And there's a really good saying I would like to add, which is fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. So
Wow.
fall in love with the problem you want to solve, not with the actual solution. So fall in love with why.
And about what, so why we discussed about it, who, so who would be your target audience. So you need to define everything yourself, so, before you start everything. So a lot often when the first time founders do this mistake, that they want to build the next Salesforce, they want to build the next Microsoft, but a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. So remember that, build something like niche down your aspect, like who is your target customer, niche it down to the smallest part, so that you can really do a great marketing, and you can make this positioning. For example, like Apploye can be used by any companies, but we are focusing too much on remote work because that is our niche, and we can like that is the aspect where most where we can appeal the most. So this is important to define your target customers and really like work around those target customers. Don't try to make it too broad, or don't try to build the best build the $1 billion company right away. Everything will come after you have some tractions, after you have some revenues. You can actually diversify and make your app more robust. Everything can happen, but at the beginning you should really focus on a specific demographic.
Yeah, I like it. There's a story with ConvertKit email marketing software. And when they were starting, they were just email marketing software, right? So they didn't niche down. It was just another MailChimp. But they saw like big opportunity to create email marketing software specifically for bloggers and content creators. So they changed their positioning. So they became like #1 solutions for bloggers and content creators. And it makes everything so easy because right now all the copy writes itself because you know exactly who you are talking to. You know what features are the most important. So it makes total sense to start with small audience or small target segment, similar like Amazon did with books, and then start adding more and more features or product offerings.
It really helps. Like Amazon started with books. That was a great example. You know, like they didn't started with everything. Perhaps Jeff Bezos had this vision for building a store for everything, but he didn't started with everything. So so he started with the positioning. That is important. And there is another thing, like what is already in the market that is satisfying your problem. So maybe you have a problem with sales, and there are existing solutions for this problem. So what specific things that you are addressing that is not being addressed. So what do I mean by that? You don't need to be always special, or don't need to be always the first time, because you know, like great ideas like Uber, that comes in a lifetime. So everyone is not like that, and everyone cannot bring that kind of idea. But if you read like what already in the market, if you go to their reviews and you just find those bad reviews and actually see that what is the actual problem in this industry, that what people are actually complaining about.
Exactly.
So yeah, just go to your competitors, or go to people startups in the similar phase, and see their vulnerabilities. Everyone has some kind of vulnerabilities, and see that like where they are lacking, where people are pissed off, where they are fed up, and really try to improve upon those. So this could be a great idea. And
yes, I agree. I mean, if you will go to the audience you are passionate about, and you will just ask them, hey, what's your #1 challenge with X, or what is your biggest obstacle every day? They will give you everything you need to know to build a perfect product. And more importantly, they will use the language they're they are used to using. So they will tell you how to write all the ad copy and everything. I actually did a little experiment today. Because I know that we are having this webinar today, so I prepared for it because I know that we will be talking about this specific topic. And let me show it to you. So basically what I did, I asked this question in the podcast movement community for podcasters. And it was 3 hours ago. I asked, what is the most time consuming thing while producing a podcast? And in 3 hours, I got 90 comments. And I found out that most of them have problems with editing the audio. See, edits, editing. Everybody has a problem with editing. And right now, if I would decide I want to help them solve this problem, I know exactly what language to use. I know what problems they're trying to solve. And I can come up with a perfect offer, like unlimited edits for your podcast for fixed monthly fee or something like that. But I wouldn't be able to do it without this simple question. And it took me like 1 minute to find out. So it's really necessary to do what you were saying, to do the proper market research.
Actually, like asking the right question is so much is such an important thing that you should.
Yeah.
You just asked one question and got a business idea.
Exactly.
And also how you want to be different. This is another aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And also really like how you want to do this, solve this problem is also important to think about upfront. So there is the controversy in business that you need to figure out everything beforehand to do well. And some people will say that, okay, so you need to figure out something, but you should really go forward and figure out every day step by step. Like when you face the wall, figure out something else. So both is correct. I would say that like do your best to make a plan, and if you hit a wall, just solve that right away. Don't think too much about the problems when you start out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a business idea, so you definitely need to have some kind of funding mechanism for your startup. So this could be side hustle. So side hustle too, I mean that you're doing some kind of job and you are doing this beside your job. So that is quite okay. That I could include within bootstrapping. And you could really like leave your job and jump into it with your savings. That is also okay, but make sure that you have enough capital to sustain 1 or 2 years. Because if you are struggling with funding your basic necessities, then definitely you will not be creative. You will not be a creative person.
You're saying 2 years, that I should have like 2 years of cash in my bank account, so I'm able to.
1 year or 2 years is very, very realistic, because
Yeah, I heard from
before that. So
I heard from Michael Siebel, who is the CEO of Y Combinator, that you should have like 1 year of cash in your bank account, so you can work on your startup for 1 year without any external funding.
Exactly. So why do I say that? Because if you have read about Maslow's hierarchy of need, the most basic need that people have is actually food, drink, and
Yes.
everything that you need to make a living. And then the security that you have, like any kind of security. So financial security is one kind of security. So only after you solve these two problems, then you are going to go higher. For example, building a startup is something which lives in like 3 or 4th place in that pyramid, which is related to your self-esteem, which is related to giving a meaning to your life. So this comes after you have those basic necessities. So if you don't really figure that out, you are going to face problem, and that kind of anxiety and depression will really harm your startup.
I mean, if you need to like take care about food and everything, and like take some job on the side, you're not spending this money to build your startup, so your startup won't maybe even happen, or it will take way more time. So it's definitely good to have like some money saved up or have some external funding, because you just need to go all in. You just need to go tunnel vision and just work only on a startup. Multitasking isn't like really good idea in any sphere.
Yeah, and some people actually like start their startup in a position that when they need money, which is the worst idea, because one of my favorite quotation is that uh, the hardest part of making money is to want to make money. So when you want to make money, like it's an extreme necessity for you, then you will find that it's difficult. But when you're trying to add value to your customer, trying to add value to the product itself, then things will come around. So definitely have 1 or 2 years of backup, and don't give too much to your, don't make yourself too in a risky position where your personal life is staked with your startup. So this is my one advice, because nowadays there are too much opportunities. You can be a consultant to any companies. You can be a part-timer. So just do that, and don't be in a position that your personal life is compromised because of financial crisis.
Exactly, and I would add one thing, that if you need really money when you are building your startup, it will lead to shortened decisions. So maybe you know that you shouldn't monetize your startup yet because maybe you haven't found your perfect product market fit or something, but you just need cash. So you will do it anyway, which might eventually kill your startup too, because you are monetizing way too soon, especially with high growth startups as Facebook or something. It's quite dangerous to monetize way too soon if you need to acquire the biggest market share.
Perfect. So one of the ways of funding your startup is bootstrapping, which means that you have some kind of savings, or you have so using that savings, you are building the startup, which is a great idea. So always try to bootstrap if possible. But if not, then you can go to angel and VCs. So angel investor are those investors who are investing a small amount of money when your startup is too risky to touch. And this could be your friends, this could be your family, this could be really like people who are very well connected to you, who are willing to take the risk for you. So this could be alumni. So for example, we raised 150K from one of our alumni brother. So I had a very good relation with him. So we raised that money from him because I knew that because of these relations, so it's going to be a lot easy for me to, even if there is a chance of failure, but this is going to be easy for me. But right away going to VCs and unknown people, so it is kind of dangerous, because if you fail or if you make a mistake, then people are not going to be merciful to you, because you're talking about a lot of money here. So at the beginning, try to focus on your surroundings, what resource you have. If you have friends, families, and really wealthy relatives, or maybe alumni brothers, so just go to them and try to raise some money. Don't raise too much that you don't need. Just raise as much as you need to build that product and go to the market.
I agree. But one important question, which I was asking myself, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs are asking every day, when do you think is a good time to raise money?
I think, if you ask me, I think it's definitely when you have revenue, when you are in a good position, then you should really raise money to scale up your business. Uh, but if you don't have that kind of capability, then, like for example, you have an idea that you need to do it now because the market is really moving forward. So you can actually raise some seed investment to build that product and go to market, and then you can focus on raising like venture capital and big funds after you actually you're healthy in your business.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are a lot of investors, and they have all different risk. They all think about risk differently. So there are investors who are available to invest just in your idea, but of course you will need to give them more bigger chunk of your company. But I would agree that like raising money as late as you can be quite a good idea. Or maybe after, I know that a lot of seed investors want to join you after you find the product market fit, but some of them are available that they will give you cash for finding that product market fit. So it's all about like how well you know your market, how fast it's moving forward, and what are your overheads? What is your monthly burn rate? If you can actually sustain in the next 12 months without an investor with the pace you chose to follow, I mean, there's no reason really to raise money.
Yeah, so definitely like try to raise money as late as possible. That is the thing. But if your tech is very like if you are going for a very tough market or somewhere where is a big amount of upfront capital is needed, so you can at that time you can consider raising some seed investment, but you should not dilute your like more than 10 to 20% at the beginning, because definitely you will be actually giving a lot of your shares when you have VCs and all those big guys. So think about that as well. And we said if you have a co-founder, uh, and finding co-founder, we should talk about that as well, because it is a bit tricky, because um, a good co-founder is always better, is the best. And then if you don't have a good co-founder, just start yourself. Don't pick someone who is the wrong person, because that's going to ruin your startup.
Talking about co-founders, I think especially if you're starting some tech venture, I think that 50% of your team should be tech, and another 50% should be business / marketing and sales. Because from my personal experience, we were both founders, non-technical founders. So we liked business development and marketing and sales and pitching and so on, but we didn't know how to write a single line of code. So we needed to first make money make money, and then find developers to outsource the development, which is like the worst way how you can do it, because as a startup you need to move really, really fast, and you need to do changes literally overnight sometimes. But it's not possible if you're outsourcing your development, because these people are not sitting next to you. They're sitting maybe on the other side of the country, and you're not flexible.
Yeah, that is a very important factor, because if you are finding a co-founder, then what you really should look at what lackings you actually have. So if you are, for example, if you're a visionary guy and you think too much about ideas and you really look to the broad picture of everything, then you should really team up with a guy who is very nitty-gritty, who looks in the very small details of everything. This is the very important thing, that wherever you have your weakness, try to find co-founder on that aspect as well. But one of like a very important message I want to say is that don't get a bad co-founder who don't have your vision, or maybe your life goal is not aligned. It will create a lot of problem afterwards, because finding a co-founder is just like marriage. So be very careful about that.
Yeah, and I like that you said that you should focus on the areas when finding a co-founder you're lacking, but you didn't mention like only the hard skills, like that you don't know how to code, but you mentioned that you're a visionary. If I'm a visionary, I should find someone who is good with actually finishing things, and if I will come up with the idea, that he will be the one who will say, all right, let's do this. These other ideas are not that good, but I know exactly how to finish this exact idea you found out. But this other guy doesn't have the capability to come up with the idea, so it makes a good fit.
Perfect. So number 3 point is accelerators and incubators. So I think in most countries there are some accelerators and incubators because these kind of things are popping up really rapidly. If you're living in a developing country, developed country, so you are lucky because in most like big cities now there is an accelerators, and even like in developing countries there are accelerators and incubators. So it helps because I have listened to some stories of founders. They said that those 4 months or 6 months in accelerator program really helped them to do more things on a small time scale and really scale up. So you should really look forward to that. Yeah, as a funding resource as well, because
Yeah, not every accelerator will give you the resources like the money, but most of accelerators will give you the skills and the networking aspect, which might be sometimes way more important than just raising capital.
yeah. And before I talk about UI UX design and wireframe, so what you need to do is that now you have some plan, now you have some financial plan. So while building the tech itself, you need to document everything. So every detail, your product vision, who is this product for, and what problem this product will solve. And then you need to write everything like what functionalities you want. Because what happens is that when you're working with the developers, a lot of the time these small things will not be hard or uh, will not be important at that moment and can be overlooked, and that can be an important factor in product development. So write everything up. So if you might not feel this important, but you definitely should write every aspect of your startup, like uh, what the features you want to be and what are the exceptional features that I want. So these kind of things should be written in documentation, not in maybe not in technical language. If you're not a technical person, you can write an user story that this user has come and how he logged in and how log in and how he interacts with the software, how he connects with other people in the software. So these stories you should exhaustively document everything. This is very important.
I agree.
Okay, then based on your story, talk with an UI UX expert. You might not need to hire an UI UX for long term or as a permanent employee, because this is a job that can be done by an expert and just give it to you. So this is not a permanent role. Just find a very UI UX good expert and try to build your product. Try to build a wireframe as well. So while building this wireframe, you should also really focus on the functionality first, and also like nowadays, I was discussing this issue with Udit that uh, people nowadays, like they access the trustworthiness and the usability of software based on the UI UX. They don't look too much on the features. They don't look too much on the on what the take this has been used. They like people look first on the colors and the usability, UI UX. So which can be sometime like some people can, like even I was thinking that this is not necessary or this is not relevant, but this is how the world is now working. So you definitely need to be very focused on UI and UX.
Yeah, I noticed this problem that usually the products which are not very like visual appealing, they have a strong tech team behind. So let's say that founders are way more tech oriented than marketing oriented. So they're thinking about, hey, it's important that it works. So why it should look like awesome? It works.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
as you're saying, like people are people are buying and deciding whether to use the product based on its look like in the first few seconds. So you should definitely make the product as intuitive and as visually appealing as possible. Sheikh, will you be talking in this webinar about MVPs, or do you want to discuss it now?
MVP, I don't have slide for that, but I have recently come across the idea of MSP, minimum sellable product. Definitely, like if you're going to an investor or maybe an early buyer, before, like if you have some connection, you know an enterprise guy and you can reach to them, so that time you can build some MVP or maybe like wireframe and show it to them that I am building this product, so will you order something upfront or not? So that could be one way to raise some fund upfront. But nowadays, like only launching MVPs and charging the general mass people for that, sometimes it doesn't make sense, because like if you charge people for your MVP, like these people are going to complain and they are going to give some bad reviews, and this can really like hamper your this can really harm your brand. So what you can do is to build MSP, that minimum sellable product, and have a small tier of pricing, that since we are starting out and we don't have too many features, so maybe like you can reduce the price maybe 50% and show it in your website that we have reduced the price to 50% until this time.
All right. So the biggest difference between MVP, minimal viable product, and MSP, minimal sellable product, is that you would be actually charging for your product, right? But the process of building the MSP itself will be quite similar like building MVP. So I think you need to define the very core problem your product is solving, and then just try to sell it. Because even from my experience, when people say that they like your product and they like the idea and they will be using it, it really doesn't mean anything since they
might be,
don't pay.
they might be hosting with you, and they might be even like people lie all the time.
Yes.
It's not they are consciously lying, maybe they're encouraging you. Yeah, so this kind of encouragement is not good at all for the founders as well. So what happens is that if you take money from someone and when that person give you feedback, that's really a genuine feedback, because this person has given his money and actually he will be using it. So what feedbacks comes from his mouth is very credible. But if you just have an MVP and show to people, like most people will be nice with you, even if your product is not good, even if your product is not sellable, they will say that okay, you are doing great. So you will this is going to be something great, something like that. So you don't have to hear those kind of encouragement.
Yeah, I mean, they don't mean it in a bad way. They just want to be a nice person, but if you don't know how to work with this information they just told you, it can be harmful for your business. So I wouldn't really ask about opinion people who are emotionally attached to me or know me a lot, so, like family or the closest friends. I would just go completely outside. I would go talk to the communities who are in this specific niche, and I would just ask them, and I would try to sell it to them. So I think Product Hunt, for example, is really good for it, or other portals.
And like the Facebook group you are talking, so that could be also a great place to like any Facebook groups or community where you have like-minded people, you can ask the question there as well.
Yes.
So now comes the hiring developers, which is very, very important part of like building a tech startup. Number one rule is don't try to reduce cost by hiring cheap. So it's very important. Don't try to hire cheap developers, because if your developer is really like expert in it and he has a good experience, or maybe he's a talented guy. So he will not work for cheap because many people are giving him same offers. So why would he come to your company? So like,
Exactly.
I am not telling you to be super expensive. Try to negotiate the deal and everything, but don't hire like cheap developers who don't have experience working. And I would like to point another thing here. When you hire a developer, always have a technical interview. So this could be two things, that the technology he will be working, and at the same time his basic abilities to understand logic and mathematics. So what do I mean by that? So if the person has a general understanding of data structure, have an understanding about algorithm as well, so this person can be easily taught to a different frameworks. So maybe he is working in React technologies, but suddenly you need someone in Node.js technologies.
Mm-hmm.
So this person can really shift. It doesn't matter to him because he understands the basic principles. And so a lot often what people makes mistake is that they hire only seeing the tech stack itself. For example, this guy is a really great React JS developer, and I just see if I just see that what works this guy has been doing in React, that is also an important thing, but that is not only determining factor. You should really check his mathematical abilities and analytical abilities as well,
I
because
see. Mm-hmm.
like
Go on.
there are a large number of developers who has come from non uh, computer science background. So even like a lot of developers could be from non CS background, but could be like good in math and like really good in this logic stuff. But what happens is that many times there are developers and programmers who come from a different background, and they just learn the frameworks, they just learn the technical language of the frameworks, but they don't have these basic skills. They don't understand the protocols, they don't
Mm-hmm.
understand networking stuff. So it creates a big problem. Like when you're hiring, you are seeing that this guy has been involved in a lot of good works, but he don't have the basic. So always try to focus on basic. And if you have some time and you don't have like if you don't have money for hiring developers who have been experienced in a good framework, you can actually hire some fresh graduates who has uh, a great basic understanding of computer science, and you can give them like 2 or 3 months time to catch up with your framework. That could be also interesting
Mm-hmm.
in development as well.
I would like to point out to the first, don't try to reduce costs by hiring cheap. There is a saying: if you think that hiring experts is expensive, wait till you will hire the cheap programmers. That's really expensive. And the second thing, for me as a non-tech founder, what was really difficult when I was hiring is that I really didn't know that I'm doing a good decision when I'm hiring these guys, because I don't have the tech knowledge to actually understand
Yeah, that is a
that the
big problem.
thing what they're saying makes any sense. So what we actually did is that we know about really good CTO, and we just said to this CTO, hey, come with us to the meeting and let's just sit there and listen to them and find out if they're saying like smart things, or if it makes sense. And it helped totally. So if you're a non-tech startup founder, just don't go into the negotiations with developers if you don't have the tech background. It's really difficult.
Yeah. So the number fifth point is that if you need hire some like you can hire some consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a non-technical guy, then hire a consultant. Like give him like 20 or 30 bucks an hour to just interview or prospect. Like uh, this could be really interesting. Like if you should not hire yourself right away. First of all, this consultant, what he should be doing is that giving some good like tough technical question, like basic
Yes.
question in they can host this question in HackerRank or this kind of website, and just really ask the prospect to actually answer those questions. So there is a satisfactory result, because when you are posting a job, there might be 100 or 200 employee or 200 prospects. So just ask them to give a basic exam in HackerRank, and then from that place you will have like maybe 5 to 10 prospect, and these 5 to 10 prospect has to sit with your consultant and an interview, and then you can get a good result. But you really need to give to like great attention while hiring developers, because one or two wrong hiring can really impact your company or even break your company. First 5 hiring is so much important that you cannot make it like you cannot afford to make a wrong hiring.
Yes.
And number 2 point is, don't hire too many developers. So sometimes what happens is that, like, you have your investors and you are full of money in your bank, and you are actually hiring too many developers, but thinking that this will really like impact your product development. But it's really not, because at the beginning of your product development, you really need to have like 3 to 4 great guys like who understand your product and vision, and they need to build that MSP first, because on that framework you will have other developers who will come later on and work on that. But too many people working on same thing when it's in an idea stage is not a good thing, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people as well. Uh, there is a saying that in software development, if you have too many people, it doesn't actually you make your work shorter. It elongates it.
I see.
It could be contrary to popular belief, but it's true, because uh, you will a substantial amount of time would be like expend used for just creating that division of labor, that who will do work, who will do what kind, or like this API will be handled by this person, this should be handled by this person. This kind of division of work requires like a lot of time. So while you are starting out, you don't really need those kind of frameworks. You just work on ad hoc basis and bring out that product. So also you need your development team on your side. That's like you said, you could have a great CTO, you could have a great software development team, and you need to have a great relationship with these guys, because uh, it's very important to have this team on your side. And number 4,
Absolutely.
if you can't divide a pizza to a dev team, is too big. This quotation is actually from Jeff Bezos of Amazon, although I do not like the guy, but the quotation is a great quotation as well. Like,
Why I don't like Jeff?
I have some personal issues with him, maybe, but
Yeah, but why?
I don't like his practice of treating his employees. That's
Okay.
to say the least. So we don't. This is not our topic as well. Okay.
Okay.
So you can divide pizza to your dev team is too big. So what do I mean by that? So one team could be uh, the whole team could not be one team. So for example, you have a mobile team, you could have a web app team, you could have a desktop app team, or maybe you are on microservice, so there is a different kind of team. But one team should have like 3 to 4 people in it. It's not. It should not be 15 people in one team, and there is one manager to it. So it is really is not a good practice for development. Your team, if you have a mobile team, you can segregate your team. You could be like 16 people in your company, but make them 4 different teams. So that will actually help. So this is about hiring developers. If you have any question, you can ask me. But I would really ask many entrepreneurs to focus on this, because really, like, I have seen, from my personal opinion, I have seen some great issues with many, like at least 2 or 3 founders in my surroundings who have sunk their company only by hiring bad developers, or they don't have the vision to build a startup. one word, like there is a quotation that don't hire resume, hire visionaries. So when you hire your employees, working in a startup is very different from working in corporate life. So if you find that this person is always complaining about what you are getting in the corporate life and you are getting and like the benefits he has been getting in the corporate life, don't hire him because uh, like working in a startup gives some kind of like great benefits, and these kind of great benefits comes with some obligations as well.
Yes.
Choosing a tech stack is also very important, and I recommend hiring a consultant who has been working in technology for maybe 10 to 15 years to actually suggest you to choose a tech stack.
Mm-hmm.
And you should really decide your tech stack before you hire your developers, because you should not hire developer first and then decide tech stack. It doesn't work that way. First choose your tech stack. I should have been put this slide before.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, what do I mean by tech stack is that what technologies you will be working on. This is very important because some kind of a product needs specific kind of technologies. For example, if you're working on something where there is many things what happens concurrently on real time, maybe you are working on streaming, you're working on real-time monitoring systems. So that kind of places you need some kind of technologies. And if you are working on web applications uh, where you have management kind of tools, so you could be have some different kind of technologies. So really focus on that and ask with a consultant that what is actually necessary for doing this product. And also what you can do is that always try to use technologies which is most prominent and recent. Don't use old technologies like I shouldn't say, because if I say the names, the developers on those technologies will be offended. So use technologies which are actually old and they don't have too much support or community. So
Objective C.
do is that uh, see that if this framework has a lot of community in it, what means that a lot of people are using it, what will happen that a lot of the things that you are trying to build is actually like actually already there is a framework or open source stuff to that. So if your community is big, you will get more resource. You will, when you ask a question, you will get get great support. So to talk about Apploye's tech stack, I would like to give our example. So we built the backend on Python Django framework. Our front end is on React.js. Our desktop app is cross-platform, is built in Java. Android application is built in native Java, and iOS is being built in Swift. We have used Postgres database, Google Cloud Platform, and Amazon AWS ACS for transactional email. So I would like to focus on last 7 and 8. So what kind of cloud services you should use? Uh, so there are different kind of recommendations, but use something which is actually popular, because if you use uh, a cloud service that is not popular, what will happen that your users will not trust you. So if you are not using Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, some kind of big tech guys, so your users will think that uh, they don't have that data security, or their data are not in the right place. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to work on that. I would recommend everyone to try Google Cloud Platform, because it's new and it is coming up with a lot of cool stuff. Uh, but Amazon is a great place. DigitalOcean is a great place. So you can
Azure as well. We are using Azure.
yeah, Microsoft Azure. That's also a good place as well.
So the big guys.
Yeah, because many people will ask this question. Already we are getting this question from PitchGround community, that where our data is stored.
Yes.
Maybe I've written this in the FAQ section as well. Is on the Google Cloud. So people are more relaxed. Yeah. And set realistic time frame. Don't rush too much. set milestone and follow them. So when we were building this product, like our expected time frame was half than what we actually was able to come up. For example, we thought that we'll be able to come up with this product like a lot earlier, but things happen like tech development is not, if you do it too fast, it will not work. You will have too many bugs, and if you make it too slow, then like the product will not come. So you will pass years after years, but your product development will not be finished. So always set realistic time expectation and realistic time frame. Don't make it too tough.
How would you do it? I mean, it's difficult, especially for a first time started founder. How did you overcome it?
So first thing is that always set milestones, and if the milestones are not achieved, so try to figure out why those are not achieved and hold people accountable for not having to reach the milestone as well. So this is important. But when you set the milestones, you need to know that even if it's really possible to do this thing within this milestone. So to take that decision, first you need to talk with your team, and then you need to also you need to have some tech consultant with you to really understand that what this milestone is actually achievable. Because many times developers, even they themselves put some unrealistic time frame. Like some people will say too early. They will say I can build it like 2 months, and some people will say like it's too late. I need 1 year to build this product.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to have that intuition that what is the actual time frame that would be needed for this task.
Yeah, it comes with experience. I mean, more stuff you build, then you will be more precise with your milestones, deadlines, and so on.
So these are business decisions which you have to figure out on case by case basis, and after talking with a lot of people. So you will need help, especially external help in figuring this out as well.
Mm.
Right. So after you have built the product, maybe you have built the MVP or MSP, you will need beta testing and bug fixing. So find the initial users for the feedback. These users could be the people who have, like when you are testing your ideas, perhaps you have been talking with people. So give those people your product and ask them to give you feedback. And always understand that there will be always bug in your product. So even if you have the best set of developers, there will be less bug, but there will be. So always have that expectation that you will always need to fix those bugs every day and try to improve your product as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the good parts of launching on PitchGround, because we have a community of early adopters. And from what I'm hearing from all the founders we are working with, that sales are, of course, a good part of the whole launch, but really important part is the feedback they are getting from the users as well, which in the long run, it's priceless. I mean, it's so cool to see real interactions with your app and then implement everything you are hearing. So yeah.
Actually, this was our motivation for launching on PitchGround, because the community is really thriving, and people are giving a lot of advice in our group and in PitchGround group, or even in our support chat as well. So this is helping us to build a good product.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the important aspects why we are launching on PitchGround as well.
Thank you.
Building. Okay, so this is a very controversial topic. So with this slide, I would like to conclude the development part, because the development part, talking about it is too long, because there are topics about Agile and Scrum methodologies and all those project management stuff. So the topic is too long, but to summarize, you need to have some kind of project management that works for you, because at the beginning of a company, you cannot have Agile or Scrum methods, because those are some kind of frameworks where you will have some project managers, you will have division of labors. So a lot of the startups will not have those peoples. but you have to build something that works for you. You have to build some project management methods that actually work for you and your company.
Mm-hmm.
And the next topic is buying a script or low code platform. Does it work really? So here a lot of founders make this mistake is that like a lot of founders come from non-technical backgrounds. They think that, okay, so if I want to build the next Uber, if you search that Uber clone, you will find a lot of script in the webs in the internet. They have built something like Uber and giving this script for like maybe $200 or $1,000. Uh, so can you really believe it? So, and also there are some low code platform which you can use to build your MVP. Does it work really? It depends because most often it doesn't. So you can give some examples that it worked, but those examples are not mainstream. Uh, what do I mean by low code platform? You know about low code platform, right?
Not really.
Okay, so did you understand the whole topic here? Buying script. Did I mean by script? For example, like you are building PitchGround, right? And so far I know Lucas is working real hard on building this technology and
Mm-hmm.
this platform. But if you go to internet and find a marketplace website like marketplace clone, search for this keyword, you will actually find places where you can buy and sell softwares. So you will get that framework, and you could be using that framework as a in PageGround by like this could be a shortcut. So many people does that, or many people like they think that they can do it. Did you
Mm-hmm.
understand what I mean? Also, like for example, you are trying to build the next Uber, so just Google the like Uber clone. You will find that a lot of developers have built something similar to Uber and selling their code for a small amount of fee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
And these
see.
are called buying script. And low code platform, like there are some low code platform, Babel and Zero Code and many other places. So so is it
I
worth
mean,
it?
I mean, I still really don't understand why it's not that good idea for maybe validating your product idea or
Yeah,
hypothesis
yeah,
in
that's why.
MVP phase where you just need to get some first data. I mean, it's a good idea to buy something for cheap and just to see if people are actually want to use it, right?
So if you are like for low code platform, those are more stable. You
Mm-hmm.
could use some low code platform to validate your ideas, to show your customers. It's just like the UI and UX stuff. But to build a tech startup using that way is disastrous because you will definitely need to write your code from scratch. Because if
Mm-hmm.
it had been worked, then like people would have been doing this all along. They're like developers' salary would not be this much, and developers would be jobless if this was something that really worked for good companies or big companies. But while you're building your startup and validating your ideas, only on that phase you could use no code or low code platform. But but actually if you want to like if you want to build a product which will be used by like 10,000 people or 1 million people, you have to build that thing from scratch
Yeah.
because you understand your product vision more than, like better than any other person.
Mm-hmm.
Like this low-code platform or script, they will give you a generic product where there is no USP or where there is uh, no differentiating factors. But
Mm-hmm.
and again, like if you have a product, you will always have customers who will ask for different kind of integration. They will ask different kind of features, and this kind of platforms will not give you this freedom that to build to bring features very easily. So I think it will be in your better interest to build your code from scratch by your own team. And,
Mm-hmm.
and if you want to validate the idea from initial customers, if you want to validate the ideas from your investors, you could use these platforms. And also like when the low-code platform is useful is that you're working in an organization or you're solving a problem which is for like 100 people or 500 people, and you will sell this thing right away. On that case, this low-code stuffs will be very useful.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For example, your organization need a meeting scheduling platform. Like you have 1,000 people in your company, and you can use local platform to build that. But when you are building a business on top of your technology, then you should really like become more
Okay.
careful.
Okay.
And this is the big discussion: outsourcing the versus in-house team. Um, One thing is important here. To mean the outsourcing, I am not referring to remote team. So when, for example, you are an employee of PitchGround, right?
Mhm.
You're not someone that PitchGround has hired for maybe 1 month to do some like 10 or 15 webinars. No, you're an employee of PitchGround. So you have to understand the aesthetics of PitchGround. You have to understand the vision and everything. So you are an employee. But when you are hiring a freelancer, so hiring freelancer works for design team. It works good for some kind of like uh, to make sales copy or something like that.
Mhm.
But especially in technology, outsourcing is not something that I could recommend. And try not to do that. If you are forced to do it, then you can do it. But really try to hire a remote team. So people who are living in developed world, they like hiring a top developer cost like $6,000 to $7,000 every month. So which could be a real blow to your startup, because if you don't have that money, you can actually hire a remote developer from somewhere where the cost is not that much.
Mhm.
And that person has to be your employee. You have to make him understand the vision of your company, and he has to stick with you maybe like next 2 or 3 years. But if you want to, for example, building one specific feature, if you want to like hire a specific like one developer, so he will not really understand what is happening in the company. He will try to make some codes, and this will not
I see.
synchronize with each other, and you will face problems. So if you are an outsourcing or service-based company, then you can outsource your stuff. Like you got a project, you don't have people to do this, so you can actually like deploy other people to do it. But
Mhm.
when there is a product is life soul. It's the soul of your company. You cannot outsource it. This is the one thing you should not outsource.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
So I could share some of our experience. So when we were building Apploye, we knew that the desktop application is the most important part of our product,
Mhm.
because that is where the like basic functionality comes from. And to build the desktop application, we will be having to face some difficult technological challenges that even maybe like nobody has done before. Like because we have done this application in Java, and many of our competitors they have done in C++ or maybe on Electron.js. So while working on Java, maybe this problem has not been solved ever. So we knew that, so that's why we are too focused on this desktop application.
Mhm.
We have built our backend, but we found that we don't have front-end people.
Mhm.
What happens is that doing front-end job is not something that is like too much technical, or maybe a lot of mathematical or work is required, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience and time to do the front-end task.
Okay.
So we didn't have some anybody who was like who didn't have task, so we could deploy him to do the front end. So we tried to hire a developer from Upwork. So first we hired a person from India. So we paid more than like $1,200 or something more than that, and like he worked more than 100 hours.
Mhm.
The end result was nothing. He was not even like able to bring the authentication system. So it was so depressing for me. So
Mhm.
I had to fire him. And then we hired two guys from Armenia, which really worked a bit well, which didn't work like wonderful, but it worked. So we spent like more than 12,000 or $13,000 on these two developers, and they could bring some features. But at the end, we found out that even they are good developers, uh, since they don't understand our product vision
Yes.
and they are not an employee, so we are not being able to work out this relationship. So that's how when we stop this contract, uh, I am not blaming them. I am happy with them, but it didn't work out. And then we had to like manage our in-house resources, and now we are doing everything ourselves. We're not
Then
outsourcing.
it clicked, right? When you are in touch with the developers every day and you can talk about vision and yeah.
Yeah, it's not about like we wanted to reduce our time by employing an outsourcing team, but at the end we are late by 3 to 4 months only because of outsourcing.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So when you try to make it too quick, it sometimes happens that it becomes too late.
Mm.
And if you hire from Upwork, just I would like to say that really make that contract very like you will find your best developer after maybe 2 to 3 wrong hiring. So be prepared for that. What you can do is that give them a test job for maybe 8 to 10 hours, and then like see their commitment, and then hire them
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
you hire from Upwork. But my recommendation is that if you can afford, the hire full-time employees.
Mm-hmm.
And this topic is very important as well, reducing cost. The world love tech startups. Why do I say this? Because there are so many discount for technology startup that you even cannot imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Like wherever you go, if you are a startup, for example, if you are selling stuff online or if you are a manufacturing company, you will actually not get this discount. You will get this discount only because you are a SaaS company, only because you are a tech company, something. And so first one is the Google Cloud for startup. So if you apply for this, just whatever you see here, you can search online and you can get those stuffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get up to 100K of cloud credit, so you need to show them that you're really prospective and your startup solves a very good problem, because they will not give you this credit right away. Just remember that this credit is real, is for real, because it's not some cloud money. You
Mm-hmm.
will be spending this money for the next 1 or 2 years. So if you don't get these kind of discounts, or if you don't get into this kind of programs, you will be spending this money on your servers. So there is like you have to spending from your pocket. So if you could be spending this money from these tech giants, so what will happen is that for first 1 or 2 year, you will not have too much of infrastructure cost, which will save, which will actually help your company and speed up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And next thing is AWS Activate. It's a program for of Amazon for startups. So they give up 300K, sorry, 3K to 100K. And there is a program by Facebook. It's called FB Start. So it's up to 400K. They will give some credit for Facebook advertisement. It is free. So try to apply for that. Really apply, because you don't know you don't know which is for you, which is in your luck.
Yes.
Apply for those. If you're a SaaS company, then there is a high possibility that you will be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a website called f6s.com. In this website, you will get a lot of deals for your startup. So you might be using SameGrid, you might be using Intercom, all those stuff. So you will need some discount. Just go to that website and take those discount. Uh, but I really encourage people to apply for Google Cloud. If you get 100K, we got the first 1 and 2. So if you get 100K, it really helps. It will get you going for next 1 or 2 year
Mm-hmm.
and reduce a lot of headache.
Yeah.
Because like if you are struggling in your startup, maybe you can like uh, you have to pay salary to your employees. If you don't have money, you can say to your employees that okay, we don't have money. Maybe we need to stop our operations.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have these cloud credits, at least your software or your service will be running
Yes.
for next 1 or 2 years. And
Yes.
in 1 or 2 years, someone might pick up and you might get a big customers. You
Mm-hmm.
don't. So you really need to get this credits. This is my recommendation.
Makes total sense. Amazing advice.
And also, Product Hunt has a uh, platform called Product Hunt for Founders. It's also a great resource for founders as well.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, what I need to also advise that when you're a startup, you need to like really be resourceful, because startups don't have too much resources, don't have too much cash. So you need to like you have to think about your financials and get all kind of discounts that you can afford. Just if there is any service you are using, ask them that if they have some kind of discount for startups. Like we ask Intercom, and they give us discount. So always ask companies that if they have a startup discount for a startup. Like I said, the world love tech startups.
Exactly. And I like what you're saying about being resourceful. And I think it's not only about getting discounts and getting better prices, but really what makes startups, what gives startups an advantage if you compare it to corporates and big and mature clients, companies, it's the resourcefulness, because startup founders and startups need to find the ways how to make money and how to sustain their growth and so on, because you don't have like the millions in your bank account. So you need to be creative about the ways how you will come up with the money to pay the bills. So this is what makes startups so special and so fun to work with, because you need to be creative all the time, because you don't have this financial reserve sitting in your bank account that you can use all the time to just pay for whatever is broken.
So about launching, so I have mentioned some platform for launching. You could really come to PitchGround, because it's a great platform for launching. You will really get some feedback from your users, and actually you will get some sales, so which will actually validate your idea. So that is very important. And you can also like make blog posts and announce your launching in different platforms like Indie Hacker, Reddit, Medium, and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. It is Hacker News, and also you can launch your product in Product Hunt. So using these platforms, you will get some initial users, and you will get your product market fit and validate your ideas. Uh, so this is about the launching and what happens after launch. Um, this up to you. Like you have to scale your startup. You have to maybe raise more fund. So this is up to you. Like you have to find creative ways to market your product in cheap cost, because today's digital advertisement is very expensive. If you want to bid on Google search, it's very expensive. So always try to be creative to like how you can scale your product. And our discussion today was about building the tech startup and tech part of it. So I would like to conclude here uh, after launch. So that could be another discussion someday.
All right. Sheikh, this was amazing. I mean, this is the last webinar in our webinar series. It's a great ending. Thank you so much for all this amazing info. But I'm pretty sure that as you're announcing new features and so on, that we will go live soon again. And please just keep us posted in the group about all the stuff you're working on. So before we wrap it up, can you just tell me what is the most interesting part about launching on startup? Because you're launched, I believe, now for 2 weeks already. So if you could just in 1-2 sentences say what has been the most fun.
uh, like when I see actually the users, their countries,
Hmm.
it really gives me a boost in my confidence that I can see people from all over the world in 7 continents actually using our product. That is most important thing to me, because I am building this product from a developing country. So I like these feelings that people are using my product and loving it from all over the world. This is the most important feelings that I'm having now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you receive a message from a customer who just purchased Apploye on PitchGround, that they are leaving HubStuff, which is one of the biggest competitors out there,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
your product, which you're building for, I don't know, 8 months now.
yeah. This is a great validation. Maybe
I mean,
nine
it's
months.
amazing. Like it has to be like crazy good feeling.
Yeah, so like we were thinking that someday we are going to compete with our competitors, but when people actually ditch our competitors and come to us,
Yeah.
so I would like to give my personal thanks and love to those people who are doing that. Yeah, thank you guys. Really matters to us. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, guys. So if you want to ditch your competitors, your current tracking software, you need to do it because Apploye is available on PitchGround, and you can get it for $49 lifetime on pitchground.com/products/Apploye, and you can choose from many different licenses, and licenses differ mainly in the number of employees you can use. So if you're a small team, this one will be really good for you. But if you're a huge team, we have a really big license here. So if you have 1,000 employees, you can buy this one as well. But there are many between, so make sure you will check it out. And if you're still on the fence and you maybe don't want to risk $49, even though there's like 60-day money-back guarantee, you can just go to apploye.com and try it for 14 days for free. And if you like it, just after 14 days, come back here and purchase it. Purchase the license you really want. So, I mean, this is the best way where to actually wrap it up. Normally, I would invite you guys to other webinars as well, but unfortunately, this is the last one. This is the webinar number 7 with Sheikh Shourav, CEO and founder of Apploye, this amazing tool we launched a few weeks ago on PitchGround. And it's been incredible interview series. It's been incredible webinar series. I enjoyed it a lot because it was about productivity and it was about entrepreneurship. And I enjoy both of these topics. How did you like this whole webinar experience? Because Sheikh, I know that this was your first time, right?
Yeah, actually, I really liked, and also I would like to thank you because you ask good questions that which helps me to move the conversation forward. And also, I would like to thank our like viewers because they also ask good questions. And one of the important things is that I always see how many people are watching our webinars after the webinar is finished. So I get this kind of feelings that like the first webinar is like 2,000 people watched our first webinar. So I was thinking someday like if 2,000 people is in the field and I am talking in front of them, so it's really hard for me. But in the webinar, we are really like we could be very frank and actually easygoing in a webinar. So this is
Yes.
one of the important thing. And the second like aspect of it is that I was personally benefited from this webinar series because after this 7 webinar, I got this confidence to talk in front of people because to like to say frankly, I am a CEO of a company of 15 people. So today or tomorrow, I will have to have this kind of confidence
Mm-hmm.
and this kind of expertise to talk in front of people. So there is no way I can actually avoid this.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I have to resign from the position of CEO or I have to have this skill. So I was really an introvert person. So it helped me personally to actually habituate me to come and talk in front of people. So thank you, PitchGround, and thank you as well.
No, I mean, I see the difference. Like in the first webinar, you did amazing considering it was your first webinar, but you are more like responding to my questions. But right now you were pretty much like talking like 95% of the time, which is amazing. Like only in this few days, I saw this huge progress. So I'm grateful and I'm honored that I actually, that I could be on this journey of
Like
yours.
it was great help from you. And also, Udi tell me that uh, to have these 7 webinars, one of the reason to have this kind of webinar is that he wants the founders to come forward and talk in front of people and want to help the founders to really become outgoing. So I'm really thankful to PitchGround team to Udit and you as well. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, thank you as well. All right, guys, I think it's time to wrap it up. This was, again, really long webinar, but I think a lot of golden nuggets were here, especially about building a tech startup and about productivity and so on. So once again, thank you so much. Make sure you will check pitchground.com/products/Apploye, and you will check the license which suits you the most. And if you don't find anything you like about Apploye, it's okay. It's not product for completely everyone, but make sure you will check it out. All right, everybody, thanks a lot. And we will see you next time with another webinar series.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being with us.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye.